Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to it's Thursday. It's going live. Gonna answer some questions today. Happy New Year, guys! It's New Year's Eve, last day 2020, and who's ready for a new year? Honestly, 2020 was it was a pretty great year for me overall. Obviously, there was some challenges, but when you're centered within yourself, when you're strong within yourself, when you have a strong internal practice, you're meditating, you're cultivating your chi, that doesn't really matter what's happening in the external world. You know what I mean? You know how to stay grounded and balanced even in chaos. So it's really all about our focal point at this point. What you're focusing on becomes your reality. It's very, very important to understand as we go into this new year. So what is it you want to manifest in this new year, right? Let go of the old, bring in the new, focus on inspiration, focus on what makes you happy, what excites you, what motivates you, right? Focus on these things, get out of the fear, get out of the anxiety and things like that. So, all right, guys. So welcome. I'm Johnathan. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can magnetize your ideal life. So going to just be doing a Q&A session today. I'll give you guys some updates first of all. So right now, registration for my course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, my 6-week course is now open. It's going to be open until January 8th. So this is a 6-week course, which is designed to help you first of all, clear negative patterns, negative emotions from your body, clear your old beliefs, your limitations, and then open the energy channels of your body, create a enhanced flow of energy so that you can start to move sexual energy through your body. And in this course, you'll learn how to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, how to transmute your sexual energy to make semen retention lifestyle, and how to last in bed for hours without ejaculating, and how to consciously exchange energy with your partners. There's tantric practices in there. So check that out. There's a link in this video on YouTube. Just go in the description. On Instagram, there's a link in my bio. It's my Multi-Orgasmic Man 6-week course. Again, registration is open now until January 8th. What else? Heading to Sedona tomorrow. Going on a trip to Sedona, flying out there for my birthday next week. So it's one of my favorite places. It's the first time I've been there this year, actually. Travel's a bit limited right now. It's like, where can I travel to that's going to be like high vibe? And, Sedona is the obvious choice. So I'm going to be spending the next week there. So excited about that. And what else? Feel free to send any questions. Of course, this is a Q&A session, but what I'm focusing on in this new year is really just taking everything to the next level. More balance in my life. I got really in business mode this year. Was really, really busy in a lot of ways, which is great. My business is growing, but at the same time, it's like you have to balance your work and your physical, mental, emotional health, right? So taking more time to nourish myself, spend time in nature, more meditation, more energy practices and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on this year. Also getting back into music. I used to be a full-time musician, and for years and years, that's what I was doing. And once I started doing sexual kung fu full-time, I kind of, stopped playing music for the most part, right? But I'm getting really back into that. So not something I'm going to be doing full-time, but just, it's a hobby for me now. So I'm hoping to release an album or something this year. So anyways, that's kind of my goals in 2021, but I think it's going to be a great year, guys. Okay, what are the limits? Here's a question. What are the limits of the chi influence on the physical body? Well, I don't know if there is a limit, because the physical body is it's kind of a crystallization of the energetic. I like to use the model of Taoist kind of cosmology, which is Jing, Qi, and Shen. That's what everything in existence is kind of made out of, is Jing, Qi, and Shen. They're basically three, we could say, frequencies of energy, three kind of levels of the same thing. For the example is water, right? Water can be in three forms. It's either kind of a solid form, it's ice, or it's a liquid form, fluid, it's water, or it's kind of this ethereal, formless form, which is steam, right? Vapor. So, and then that's how everything is, right? So chi is kind of the intermediary between the spiritual planes, the Shen, and the physical plane, which is kind of more in the Jing, right? So your body is constantly recreating itself every moment, right? Nothing is fixed. Nothing is, what appears to be physicality isn't as fixed as it seems to be. Everything is 99% empty space, right? Our bodies are basically empty space. And so the energy, the chi is constantly crystallizing, forming our body, but it's changing from moment to moment. Right now, you're a different person than you were, 10 seconds ago. Your body's completely changing. So it's just a matter of deepening that mind-body connection. The more you can affect the energetic planes, the less rigid you are in your belief systems. That's the biggest thing, is your belief systems literally crystallize the world around you. Quantum physics has proven this, that when matter, when atoms are being observed, they're fixed into particles, but when they're not being observed, they're waveform, they're light, they're completely fluid. So that's how our reality is. So that's so basically it depends on your level of skill, but I don't see any limit to how the energetic can affect the physical. Would you say it's normal to feel fluctuations with your energy while doing sexual kung fu? Some days I feel great and other days I feel super horny. Yeah, there's always going to be fluctuations, especially when you first begin this work. As you're starting to do internal energy practices, working with sexual energy, one day you'll feel super energized, super great. The other day you maybe feel a little tired. It's all just kind of the process. Someday you feel super horny, whatever. Your body's going to change from day to day, and there's a lot of influences from the external world as well. So yeah, it's pretty natural for things to fluctuate. I watched all your videos and I still don't know how to have an orgasm without ejaculation. Yeah, I mean, it's, I teach a lot of the basics in my YouTube channel. I teach it much more in depth in my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, because you really need like some in-depth training. If you're really stuck in your old patterns, some men have a really easy time experiencing non-ejaculatory orgasms. For some men, there's much more underlying work to do, right? So that's the purpose of my 6-week course, is an intensive training in that. But I think the most important thing to understand is that the non-ejaculatory orgasms, at least the ones that I'm really focused on teaching, the ones that I experience mostly, it's a very different experience than an ejaculatory orgasm. And it starts off very subtle. And if you're like trying to force yourself into this, explosive experience of orgasm, see, that's the mistake I had in the beginning. I was like, okay, non-ejaculatory orgasm, it must feel exactly like an ejaculatory orgasm without the ejaculation, but that is not the case. It's quite different. And again, it's very subtle in the beginning. You may not even notice it, because as men, we're often very, goal oriented. We're like, no, it's got to be this huge explosive thing, right? So it's going to be very subtle. So you really have to change your approach to it. And instead of focusing on trying to get yourself to this massive, orgasmic experience and not settling for anything else, I encourage you to redefine what an orgasm is. I like to define orgasm as simply a pleasurable, kind of sensation, or like a pleasurable pulsation within the body that's outside your normal range of experience. So that it broadens and it kind of liberates you, because now you're not, you have a more broad definition of what orgasm is, and then you can start to deepen that. So as you're, stimulating yourself, or you're with a partner, focus on what's happening. Just, relax your mind, relax your body, instead of like wondering, oh, is this an orgasm? Is this going to happen? You're in your mind, you're out of your body. So pay attention to the sensations that are happening within your body. Feel that arousal start to build, and then see, oh, can I feel that arousal in my belly? Can I feel it moving up my body? So, and this is why really there's a lot of foundations that make it a lot easier to experience this. If you're not doing Qigong, if you're not doing breath work, clearing blockages from the body, then it's difficult to go straight into the sexual practice. So that's why I structure my 6-week course the way I do, because you get all the really necessary foundations to get into an enhanced orgasmic experience. How long do you do Zhanzhuan stands for? Yeah, so Zhanzhuan is it's a Qigong form. You basically hold these energizing postures for various periods of time. Right now I'm doing Zhanzhuan for about 30 to 60 minutes per day. That's, I do one session in the morning. I do a 30-minute formal standing practice in the morning. So I hold, certain positions for 30 minutes, energize my body, really cultivate some chi, and then I'll often incorporate some into my evening practice as well. But in the beginning, when you're first learning this, 5 minutes is plenty, because the key is it's not just holding the postures, it's the way you engage your mind within the body, release tension, sink the chi. All the kind of Taichi classics talk about sinking the chi, which is really engaging your mind, anchoring your mind within the body, feeling the tissues expand and release and sink into the earth. And then the earth force, the earth energy starts to fill up your body. And you get this powerful, powerful sensations of chi. So, start with 5 minutes, stay relaxed, and add from there. Is fantasizing about sex natural? Should one avoid it while on semen retention? I think that it's fairly natural, we all love sex. It's a question of, is it an issue for you? Like, is it a distraction? Are you fantasizing about sex all day? Then maybe it's a problem. But if it's like here and there, you're like, oh, sex would be nice, then, don't worry about it too much. But one effect that this can have is that if you're like really going crazy with fantasy and you're like getting all aroused and there's no resolution to that arousal, that desire, then this can cause you to release your semen in your sleep and have an orgasm there. So, you can say whether the fantasizing is benefiting you or whether it's kind of distracting you, right? But this is why meditation practice is very important, learning to control your mind and what you're focusing on. Okay. With sexual kung fu, do you think it's better to train the mind first before the body, or should you just do the exercises and have your mind sync up later? I think that mind and body training should always be done in conjunction because, if you're doing a lot of mind training, there's a tendency to like really get up into your head, right? And the more physical practices where you're, embodied helps you to ground, right? And that's why I like Qigong, is because it's mind and body at the same time, right? You're learning to engage your physical body in a different way that allows for chi flow. And you're also, your mind has to be very focused and very present in your practice. So I think that mind body training should always be done in conjunction personally. And that's how I structure my trainings. Hey, Briogan Lobos, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. All right, so okay, I've been practicing diaphragmatic breathing for a long time. It allows me to circulate the energy effectively. I get the same effect as when I do butt cheek squeeze. Am I on the right track? And it's just a matter of practice, or should I quit diaphragmatic respirations for a while to see if my pelvic floor gets back to normal and I can last a bit longer without? So diaphragmatic breathing is great. It's a great practice. It's kind of a foundational practice. Just by itself, it's only going to take you so far, but it's kind of the ideal beginner practice because it's kind of the first step of learning to control your mind and your body, during sex. But beyond that, there's a lot more work that you can be doing, where you're working directly with the energy of your body, working with the subtle energy, right? This is where kind of the more advanced sexual kung fu techniques come in, the testicle breathing, working with the microcosmic orbit. So diaphragmatic breathing is a great first step, but it's only going to take you so far. So you may want to look into advancing into other practices. Hey, Puna Makia, thanks, brother. Yeah, and so you say, yeah, and you have to also do reverse Kegels continuously in order to avoid coming. Yeah, so, and then, like I said, the next step is really being able to manage the energetics, right? Because these are more physical practices, just breathing, reverse Kegels. They're great. They're a great foundation, and it's going to take you farther than most people get. But beyond that, directly being able to use your mind to move the sexual energy, is the next step, because it's like you feel all this pressure building up in your genitals, you're becoming aroused, right? So using your mind directly to, it's kind of like relieving the pressure there. You bring that arousal up in the body, releasing it from the genitals, and that's kind of the more advanced practice. I'm struggling to feel my Dantian. Do you have any recommendations? So this is a kind of a foundational practice in energetic development. The Dantian is an energy center in the belly, right beneath the navel, directly in the belly. And this is kind of the battery of the body. So energetically, in practice, most Qigong systems, most Taoist systems, one of the foundational steps is to first build the Dantian center by basically consolidating your qi and your jing, your subtle energy in the belly center. And this becomes your battery, it becomes a foundation, because without this reservoir of qi, you don't really have anything to run through your body, right? You need to have some gas in the tank, right? So this is why the Dantian practice is extremely important. And I have a video of it on my YouTube channel. So if you're working with the practice I share, on my YouTube channel, which is #1 exercise for building energy that teaches you how to build your Dantian. But the most important part of this is anchoring the mind down into the Dantian, because often with these kinds of practices, you're still up in your head and you're kind of trying to project your consciousness down in your body, but you're still stuck in your head. So getting more grounded is very important. I think a practice you feel would be very helpful for you is laying on the ground. So first of all, massaging the chi high point. So I'm gonna show you guys. So say this is your navel, your belly button. Stick 2 fingers under here, and then but directly beneath that and line down from navel. That's your chi high point. Press your finger in there, like really acupress it, massage in there, like really push in there, and just feel that in your mind. That kind of anchors that. And then feel the perineum, the huyin, the directly between testicles and anus. Flex that a few times, and then basically you're creating kind of this crosshair between these 2 points, the chi high in the navel, the huyin and the dantian. So bring your awareness to these points and then come straight inwards, and directly in that middle area, that's typically the center of your dantian, right? So first of all, that's going to help you, but really relaxing your mind down into that area. You can place your hands on your belly and really relax your body. Watch your breath, and sink your awareness slowly down your dantian by following your breath, holding your hands there. It's really just a matter of being able to ground your awareness down into that area. It just takes practice and time. Okay. So this question: if you fap right after a conscious ejaculation, there will be very little semen because you're drained. But if you fap right after a wet dream, you'll shoot a massive load. So it's not a full semen retention relapse. I don't know. I haven't experimented with, masturbating right after a wet dream. Usually, typically when you have a nocturnal emission, a wet dream, it's not as depleting as a full-on ejaculation. Sometimes it's just prostate fluid leaving. It's not actually semen or small amounts of semen. So, I don't know. You can call it a relapse if you want, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. You can put whatever story behind it you want, but yeah, if you have a nocturnal emission and you don't feel drained, then that's fine. You obviously didn't lose much energy, so that should be your reference point, is how do you feel, right? Versus like logically what you think happened. Just how does your body feel? Do you feel drained or do you feel energized? How much of this has to do with the mind? How much of what? Like the practice in general? There's a lot of mind. It's a huge part, right? But really it's the mind and body connection, because the mind and the body are connected. But when you kind of get your mind disconnected from your body, that's when you have issues. A lot of us are very stuck up in our heads in the technology age and disconnected from our body. So it's about connecting your mind with your body, right? So doing both mind training and kind of physical energetic body training together, and you get that mind body connection strengthened, which is really what sexual kung fu is all about. And ejaculation control is having strong mind body connection. Celibacy versus Qigong. I'm not exactly sure what the question is there. Okay. So total celibacy versus Qigong or male continence for spiritual development. So I think you're asking whether it's better to be celibate or whether it's better to like do sexual kung fu practices where you're retaining your semen during sex for spiritual development. I'm not sure if that's what your question is, but that's kind of what I'm getting. It depends. Celibacy can be good. It can be beneficial, but I think celibacy should only be done if it naturally arises, right? If you force yourself into celibacy, then you're suppressing something. You're repressing your sex drive, your sexuality, which is actually a powerful ally if you know how to use it consciously. That's kind of the big thing, is a lot of these kind of spiritual paths, kind of these esoteric traditions, a lot of them encourage celibacy simply because sexuality is it can be a very sticky issue, and they just don't know how to deal with it, right? They don't know how to ground that energy in their body and work with it in a harmonized way. It tends to take control of them, right? So there's like, well, just avoid it completely. That's kind of the approach of a lot of spiritual paths and religions. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it's just what it is, right? I personally prefer, the more, integrated, grounded approach of like, how do you change your experience of sexuality in a way that actually benefits your spiritual path, benefits your physical body, your, emotional, spiritual, energetic cultivation, right? Because we have a sex drive for a reason. It's not just a physical procreation drive. If for us, if sex was only to procreate, then we would be like the other animals and only have a very limited period of time where we actually experience sexual desire, right? All the other animals, they have certain mating seasons. Humans, we're ready to go 24/7. So obviously sex is a bit more than just procreation for us. I think that this is really a spiritual drive coming through us. This is a very, very powerful drive. And it's this drive to expand ourselves, to complete ourselves in a way, right? To create, sex is all about creating. It's about connecting. When you have sex with someone, you kind of transcend polarity, right? Male, female, you connect, you neutralize that polarity, and you have this pure experience of oneness. So, I enjoy the dual cultivation path myself, but if you enjoy celibacy, that's fine. But I think it should only be done if it naturally arises, and it should not be forced, or you can have issues. Okay, I'm 42 and I've been practicing sexual kung fu for years now. I recently had an emission while orgasming and remained erect for a very long time afterwards. Do you know anything about this? Yeah, so when you're doing these practices, when you develop your skill with sexual energy, and especially the ability to move it through your body, to cultivate that sexual energy, then you won't lose as much energy from an ejaculation. It's possible to basically you kind of extract that essence of your semen, right? And move that through your body, store it in your body. So you've basically collected a lot of the juice from your semen, so you're kind of shooting out an empty shell. So an ejaculation is actually not going to be that big of a deal when you really develop skill with sexual kung fu practices. So that's what I noticed as my skill developed with this stuff over the years, was like when I do occasionally have an ejaculation during sex, I don't feel like anything's happened. It's like, oh, okay, like I don't feel like I ejaculated. That's what happens when you really develop your skill with this work. So yeah, it's great. I'm not sure what my numerology number is. Once you start to feel your dantian, what do you recommend doing next? Yeah, so once you've built the dantian, once you have a dantian, then it's going to enhance the rest of your practices. You do want to keep working with the dantian, keep sinking your energy down there to keep building the dantian, because it's really a process of, they say building the elixir, right? The dawn, which is the elixir. So it's a continuous process of refining and building energy there. But in general, yeah, when you have the dantian built, then you can really unlock the microcosmic orbit. You're going to really feel the orbit running. It's going to amplify your Qigong practice, circulating throughout the body. So that's kind of the next steps. I get in depth into this kind of work in my Immortal Energy Arts online school, immortalenergyarts.com. But yeah, the next step is to open the channels of the body, with the dantian, the energy that's in the dantian, because the dantian becomes kind of a drive, kind of the engine to run the chi through the body. Does the feeling of chi within the body increase continually? I used to practice Qigong while high and felt the chi very strongly. Now that I've cut that out, the sensation is reduced. It depends. It will continually develop if your system that you're training in continually develops. But if you have an inefficient system, unfortunately, a lot of people are teaching stuff out there that just isn't that good. It took me years to find the real deal of Qigong practices. But basically, yeah, when you have a good system, then the feeling of chi will continuously develop. What I found to be the most important thing in chi development is, of course, working with the dantian, really developing that. Also, relaxation is number one. If you're studying with a system that ever emphasizes tension, it's probably tension basically kills the flow of chi. There's a lot of so-called Qigong out there that's really just kind of physical therapy. You're just kind of moving your arms around to open up your joints and stretch the tissues. That's not necessarily Qigong. Anchoring the mind within the body, really deep mental connection with the body, the Qing Jin, absorbing your mind into the tissues of your body, and relaxation, Sung, sinking the chi, is what's really going to develop your chi. And again, this is why I created my Immortal Energy Art schools, because I was always searching for, for years I was doing Qigong, and all I felt was like a little bit of buzzing in my hands, like, okay, this little tingling, like, okay, that feels good. I guess this is the chi. And I felt really good after my practice. I felt calm and centered, but I was like, I want to really feel chi. It was getting into the work of Scott Meredith that really changed my whole trip with Qigong. He's got some great books. I recommend his books. Also studying with my Taichi teacher, Jude. It's how I really, really learned to cultivate very, very strong chi flow in my body. So one of my, it's immortalenergyarts.com. I've got a free training there. But one of my newest Qigong routine on YouTube, go to my Qigong playlist, the most recent one I made, it's a really, really great flow. If you work with that, and if you work with the Dantian building practice, which the video is called #1 Exercise to Build Energy, it's going to really amplify your chi sensation. Okay, is there a difference between semen retention, male continence, Qigong, etc.? Semen retention is the practice of retaining your semen. You're not ejaculating, right? For some people, this means going certain periods of time without ejaculating. For some people, it's like an obsessive, I can never ejaculate approach. It's going to be defined differently by different people. Basically, semen retention is simply retaining your semen. Male continence, different people will have different definitions of this, but usually it's about the same as semen retention. It's like, do not ejaculate, withhold your semen during sex. Qigong is a energetic practice. It's not necessarily related to semen retention or even, sexual practice necessarily, but it goes well in conjunction with this practice. Qigong is, Qi is the life force, it's the energy, it's the force, right? Prana. Gong, as in Gong Fu, it's a discipline, it's a skill. So Qigong is the skill in developing and cultivating Qi. So this is an internal energy practice. Where do you find the real deal? So as far as like people teaching real powerful energetic practices, right? It's not easy. Like I said, I've been through many, many teachers. Some were the real deal. Some had really, really great stuff. And some were, kind of surface level, moving your arms around while imagining things, right? And not really cultivating chi, right? First of all, put the intention out there, ask the universe to bring you to a skilled teacher, right? I highly encourage you to read Scott Meredith's books. His book Juice is great. I mean, it's a Tai Chi book, but it gives you a really good understanding of, I would say, kind of a more realistic approach to energy cultivation. And then from there, once you understand those concepts, you know what to look for in someone teaching Qigong practice. Generally, if you understand that tension, I think for me, one of the biggest breakthroughs in my Qigong practice was understanding the difference between, let's say you're doing an arm, the kind of Qigong arm movement, right? There's a difference between just lifting your arms up like this, right? Oh, it looks cool. I'm cultivating Qi. There's a difference between doing that and making it a full body Qi connected movement, right? So you sink, everything sinks into the earth. You release the tissues of the body. That's sung, right? Sinking the Qi that the classics talk about. You sink into the earth. So really the energy activation model is, first, you sink the Qi, drops into the earth, relaxation, and then that earth Qi rises back up your body and fills you up. So you sink, you release, starts from your center, your Dantian, you sink down. And, it's kind of hard to teach in this format, but hopefully that kind of helps out. But basically, I don't know, it's not easy to to find, but I'll mention some teachers who were very valuable to me, like some teachers who I think are the real deal. My Tai Chi teacher, Drew Trapani, I did an interview with him on my channel. The dude's a wizard, dude's a Jedi. He's the real deal. Scott Meredith, as I mentioned, he's got some phenomenal practices. Damo Mitchell's got a very powerful system. I'll say he's very rigid in a lot of his beliefs. I don't resonate with everything he teaches, but he's got some powerful practices. Michael Wynn, his approach to internal alchemy is extremely powerful. So some teachers I recommend. Bruce Francis has some great stuff as well. How long have I been in the sexual energy practice world for? It's been almost a decade now. It's been almost 10 years. Since I've had like a real structured practice, it's been about 7 years. Yeah, first I was just kind of learning from books, reading Montauk Chia's books, kind of practicing from those. Very limited results, had a bit of good results, but it was when I started studying with teachers that I really unlocked this for me. That's why I created my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, which is open for registration right now, because it's not easy to find, people who really gone into depth in this training because most people just don't, right? And so basically this is the course that I wish I had when I was learning this stuff. It's integrated everything I've learned over the past decade in studying energy cultivation and sexual kung fu. Do you find any relationship between the 7 steps of alchemy and Qigong? I don't know, internal alchemy and Qigong, they can be connected, but for me, they're different practices. I do practice some forms of Neidan, Taoist internal alchemy. Okay, what makes Taichi different than Qigong? Taichi seems a lot more complicated, and that's turned me off from wanting to learn it. Yeah, so basically, I would say, I think it was Benjamin Lowe who said that he was, Tai Chi master. He says that Tai Chi has Qigong in it, but Qigong doesn't necessarily have Tai Chi in it. I think that's true. I would consider Tai Chi to basically be a very advanced Qigong practice because it's, there's a lot of different ideas about what Tai Chi is. I think it's very misleading. Like on one end of the spectrum, it's like, Tai Chi for balance, for senior balance, right? It's for old people, right? And you have this image of all these old people doing Tai Chi because they can't really do any other exercise, right? And that's, a bit unrealistic. It can certainly work for that, but they're not really usually doing the real Tai Chi, right? Then there's the other end of the spectrum where people are like, Tai Chi is the ultimate martial art, and you can like just blast people with a rocket blast of your chi, right? And that's can be quite unrealistic as well. You have to put like decades into Tai Chi training for it to be any sort of realistic application of martial arts. So basically, Tai Chi it's just kind of a step beyond Qigong, you know what I mean? You really have to practice it to really experience it. But basically what I would say is that you learn how to use your body in a way that engages Qi in every movement, right? It's like, why are there all these weird movements in Tai Chi form? Some people say, oh, they're each, you use this move to block a strike, which, is kind of ridiculous. You're not gonna be able to do that. You're not gonna be able to figure that out in 0.7 seconds when someone's running at you down an alley with a butcher knife, right? What I think is that these weird Tai Chi movements are basically because you're learning to hold an energetic charge. That's primarily what Tai Chi is building this Qi in your body. That they talk about the Peng energy in Tai Chi, this earth Qi that rises up your body. It feels like this hot radioactive hydraulic fluid. And when someone's pushing on you, they can't move you. It pushes them back. That's why Tai Chi masters have all this power. It's incredible. So you're basically learning to hold a strong charge of Qi in your body while moving around in all these different movements. That's basically what Tai Chi is. And move from your center, move from your Dantian, keep your field expanded, your energy field expanded. This is what Tai Chi push hands practice is about, is like it's an energetic interaction. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole with Qigong and Tai Chi today, which is great. I love this stuff. But yeah, Tai Chi is very complicated. It's not something you're going to learn in a few classes. Like I've been studying Tai Chi for 4 years now, and I still feel like I'm a beginner, but it's an incredible practice. I get high from it. Like literally my body's buzzing with Qi, my legs are charged up, my Dantian's like red hot, and it gets me high. So I love Tai Chi. But basically it depends, should you do Tai Chi or Qigong? Depends how committed you are. If you're really, really serious, you want to go all the way, then, I suggest doing both. But if you just want, kind of the benefits without having to do a lot of practice, then do Qigong, That was kind of a long-winded there, but okay. After having sex where you have full body orgasms, should you relax or could you go do strenuous things afterwards? For example, working out. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do, and you'll feel different at different times. Like sometimes you'll have, these long tantric sex sessions where you've had multiple orgasms, you're deeply connected with your partner and you're just radiating with Qi, and you just feel like jacked up. You're like, I feel so good. And maybe you want to go work out, or make some art or something after that. That's fine. Or maybe it's late at night and you just feel like really relaxed and kind of calm. You may just want to chill out. So it's just however you feel, is fine. Obviously, depending on the time of day it is and everything. Okay, how would you know if you have emotional blocks with sexually? Well, if you have, some sort of really any sort of like sexual issues, dysfunctions, maybe you get extreme anxiety in sexual situations, or you cannot open yourself to connect with your partner kind of emotionally, right? You kind of block yourself off, things like this, right? If there's anything basically hampering your, anything kind of negatively affecting your experience of feeling fully connected with your sexuality, then, you probably do. I would say it's safe to say that most people do have some kind of emotional blocks or traumas around sexuality, because we're in such a sexually repressed, in a lot of ways, society. I mean, it's kind of it's a contradiction, because we're bombarded with sexual stimulation 24/7, but at the same time, most people don't openly talk about this stuff, right? It's like, it's kind of a weird contradiction. So we're sexually repressed, but at the same time, we're overexposed to sexual stimulation. So it really causes these distortions in our minds and body. What other techniques do you recommend besides testicle breathing and microcosmic orbit to let the energy flow through your whole body? I think Qigong is an excellent practice. Again, I have some guided practices on my YouTube channel. That's the main practice I use for cultivating Qi, for moving through the whole body. Qigong is an amazing practice. You can also use your mind just to guide Qi through your body, but if you don't have your mind integrated with your body, then you might just be imagining things, versus actually moving Qi through your body. So I recommend Qigong practice and grounding. How often do I teach the multi-orgasmic man course? I don't think I'll be able to make it to this one in this month. I'm not exactly sure when I'll be doing the next one. I've been doing like 3 or 4 launches per year. So, no, I can't make any promises when the next one will be, but likely in a few months. All right, guys, any other questions? It's kind of a rare occasion where I got through all the questions. But hope you guys are enjoying your New Year's Eve. Hope you have some fun plans, hanging out with loved ones, or just being with yourself, setting some strong intentions for 2021. This is really the time to, again, focus on what you want to bring into your life. I encourage you guys to write down some goals. What do you want to bring into your life this year? And then focus on those things every day. Every morning you visualize, not just visualize, but feel that you've accomplished those things. Feel that gratitude, feel the excitement of having achieved that, right? Start to see and start to act towards the world that you want to create, right? Okay, where does Michael Wynn and Jude Trapani teach their systems? Michael Wynn has summer retreats in North Carolina every summer. He's got some online material as well. Jude Trapani has a website. There's a link on that video I did with him where I interviewed him. I think it's 0.taichi.com. How can we fix deep energy blockages? There's a lot of methods, it depends, the severity of the blockage. There's a lot of ways to work with it yourself. Again, this is the methods I teach in my 6-week course, is how do you clear blockages, energetic blockages. I teach many tools for doing this, but basically I found Qigong to be an incredible practice, because you're clearing blockages in your flow, clearing blockages in your Qi flow. When you have, experienced traumas, negative emotions, and they get stored in their body, the body uses its own energy to hold these things in place, because it's like, I can't process this right now, right? And this manifests as tension in your body, these areas that are just blocked up, right? So Qigong is an excellent practice that kind of can help you slowly release these blockages over time. Meditation, breath work can help as well, yoga. Depends on the nature of the blockage, but sometimes it's good to have someone help, maybe someone who does Reiki, kind of these different healing modalities, acupuncture or whatever. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. Trying the semen retention from past year, but always end up relapsing. Don't have any sexual energy exercises in place as such. Yeah, that's really the most important thing in my opinion and experience of semen retention, is like, you really need to practice where you're doing something with that energy. You're moving it, you're keeping it flowing, because sexual energy wants to move. It wants to express itself. It wants to create life. It wants to move and flow. And if it's just stuck in your balls, eventually you're going to ejaculate it out at some point, right? Which, I don't think it's something you should really feel guilty about, just being aware of that, right? So instead of that, you can, have energetic practices to keep that energy flowing and keep it balanced. And it's a lot more enjoyable in my experience. Last time I had a solo cultivation session, I started to have this enormous amount of pressure and pain in my balls, like they were full and I needed to release. Thoughts? Okay, so yeah, this thing is like, if you're going to be doing self-stimulation without ejaculating, you really need a way to release the pressure, right? This is what happens is you're becoming aroused, all this pressure builds up, it needs to be released, right? And typically ejaculation is how men release it. But the other way to release it is to move it upwards in the body, move it through the microcosmic orbit with testicle breathing, with the power lock practice. Otherwise, yeah, you have blue balls. It's not very enjoyable. So, working with the testicle breathing practice and the power lock exercise I teach, of course, I go much more in depth into the practices of circulating energy out of the genitals to have full body orgasms in my 6-week course. When I try to feel gratitude, I often feel sadness in my stomach instead. Do you know why this is? Well, maybe you have some, deep pattern of sadness there that you need to release from your body. It can be something to work on. Do you believe in past life regression, and do you know who you were in your past life? Yeah, I've done some past life regression work, but honestly, it's not really an interest of mine right now. It's like, I think people kind of overemphasize the past life thing, like, oh, this is all, it's like everything's because of my past life. Like, oh, this is just because of my past life. Oh, this pattern is from my past life. And you kind of like disconnect from reality in a way sometimes. I mean, I think there's definitely can be some truth to it, but I think people get a bit crazy with it, and it kind of disconnects you from the here and now and use it as an excuse to disempower yourself, right? So I don't really, spend time thinking about past lives or things like that. It's like, what's here, what's now, how do I, if I don't like my situation, how do I transmute it, right? Okay, just out of curiosity, do women have similar practices of sexual kung fu? Are there options for them as well? Yes, there are sexual kung fu practices for women. Actually, my partner, Mariah, and I created a course for women. It's very similar, except there's some obvious differences. So for women, the practice of we could say gene conservation, which is what semen retention is for men. It's blood conservation and retention for women, right? As men lose their vital energy, their gene, through ejaculation excessively, women lose it through excessive menstruation, right? Women can have unlimited orgasms without necessarily losing energy, but it's menstruation that depletes them, their gene. Because for women, the menstrual cycle is like a psychic cleansing for the body and the mind, right? They have all these traumas, these negative emotions and stresses. Then the body uses its own energy to release this with the blood, right? That water cleansing. But it takes a lot of energy when there's a lot of heavy issues, right? So for women, the practice involves basically being able to release these negative things without using the physical resources of the body, so that their period becomes much lighter and more effortless. So it relieves a lot of the symptoms of PMS. Breast massage is huge for women, also jade egg practice. So yeah, there's practices for women as well. How to last longer in bed without using medical things or nutting first. I teach this a lot in my videos. Check out my videos on premature ejaculation. I have a whole playlist on premature ejaculation. Take my ejaculation control course. It will teach you the exercises you need to last longer in bed, basically. So you can find that in pretty much all my videos. I have a link to my free ejaculation control course. So go through that. It'll really help you develop. It's really about developing a mind-body connection to your body, being able to keep yourself calm and relaxed during sexual arousal, and avoid activating the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response, which triggers ejaculation. So things like deep breathing, relaxation, and specific exercises. I teach all these in my free course. Another one. I come fast, not prematurely, but enough to make me sexually insecure throughout my adolescence. I don't feel insecure about it anymore, but I wonder what ways I can work on it if possible. So again, check out my free ejaculation control course. There's a link in my Instagram bio. I have a whole course on sexual mastery, multi-orgasmic man 6-week course. If you want to really, really go in depth with it, check that out. Okay, so you were moving the energy during stimulation, but out of nowhere, the pain started and I don't know why. So yeah, it's kind of a learning curve with this work, right? It's like sometimes you're able to circulate the energy during, sexual stimulation and you don't get blue balls, but sometimes it just builds up, right? So there's a bit of a learning curve and you'll get better at it as it goes on. The more open your body becomes, the more open your orbit is, the easier it is to move all that energy out of there. I will say, don't wait until you get into super high levels of arousal to start drawing the energy out. You want to be constantly kind of bringing some of that energy out into the rest of your body. Also keeping your pelvic floor relaxed. I noticed when I used to use a lot of pelvic floor tension techniques in sex that I got blue balls a lot. Once I released the pelvic floor tension practices, I never had blue balls again. I masturbate for long and I don't feel blue balls afterwards. I feel like transmuting, but I have to stop all the time, go slow and do lots of reverse Kegels. Am I going right or am I tensing up too much the pelvic floor? If you're going for long periods of time, then, I don't know. Are you tensing up your pelvic floor? Only you can really answer that question. Okay, I came early as fuck at first, but second round, I last forever. Why? Well, so you're saying like you ejaculated and then you started having sex again after that and you last a little longer. It's common because you have all this buildup of pressure, all this, sexual energy built up, and you have sex and, you're unable to control it. So the pressure releases and ejaculate. And then you just don't have as much of a charge of sexual energy because you just ejaculated. So ejaculation won't happen as fast, right? So some people, one of the recommendations for premature ejaculation, that one of those kind of like surface level advice, whatever, is like, well, just ejaculate, earlier in the day before you have sex, which, is the downside being that you're ejaculating and losing, your sexual charge, right? So it's better to learn how to control that high charge of energy by transmuting it upward in the body, and then you don't have that problem anymore. Is the energetic portal in Sedona a good place for meditation and sexual kung fu? Oh, Sedona it's the energy there is out. It's off this world. There's a reason it's such a popular place. Yes. Sedona is a phenomenal place, major energy vortexes, lots of UFO activity, lots of interesting things happening there. It's really, really cool place. It's probably my favorite place on this planet. That's why I'm spending my birthday there next week. So yeah, Sedona's amazing. What's your thoughts regarding toys like rings? So like sex toys, it depends. I don't recommend the rings you put around your penis because they constrict your blood flow. Not a good idea. You can have all kinds of issues from this. You can damage your penis permanently by using, the penis rings. So I don't recommend using those. There's other methods if you want to increase your erection strength, developing your blood vessels in your penis. I don't recommend using those. How many months does it take on average to achieve ejaculation after doing Kegel and reverse Kegel 3 to 4 times a week for 3 times a day? So you're saying ejaculation, which makes me think it's the genital-centered orgasm, where basically you go to the point of no return, but you use a Kegling squeeze to stop any fluid from coming out. So it's not really the method that I teach. It's not what I focus on. I have experienced this, but what I'm, teaching and experiencing is more of an energetic full body orgasm, which is not necessarily related to pelvic floor strength. So, but if that's the type of orgasm you're seeking, then I don't know, within a month or two, you might be able to achieve that. Spending my birthday in Sedona, Arizona, here in the US. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. Looks like we're wrapping it up. Again, my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, is open for registration until the 8th. This is a complete guide to mastering sexual kung fu practices, advanced techniques to move energy through the body, and more basic techniques just to last longer in bed, have full body orgasms, and really, really cultivate some powerful energy to have, better health, better vitality, better sexual control. So wishing you guys Happy New Year. 2021 starts tomorrow. I'm probably not going to be going live next year, taking a bit of a break, a little vacation in Sedona. Okay. Okay, here's one more question. How to retain involuntary pelvic contractions during sexual arousal? You need to learn to relax your pelvic floor, avoid stimulating the frenulum, the bottom front area of the penis, and using reverse Kegels and things like that, and also just relaxing your mind and your body. You can also basically redirect that tension to different areas of the body instead. Okay, last question I'm going to answer. Can retention be of a benefit for a man in his mid-40s? Yes, I would say that the older you get as a man, the more important retention becomes, because the older you get, the harder it becomes to recover from an ejaculation. So, in your teenage years, in your 20s, you can get away with ejaculating a lot more. But once you're hitting like 40s, 50s, 60s, it becomes really important to regulate your ejaculation. All right, guys, take care. Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys soon.